Well, happy Monday. How was everybody's weekend? I'm super excited to be here. There comes Kayla now. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I don't know what's happening here. There we go. She is. Oh, Miss
Hello.
Kayla. How are ya? Good morning.
I did it
How was
again.
your weekend? I know. Hey, and that's totally okay, right? That's awesome. I love it. You just be safe. Like it makes me a little bit nervous. I do it, but it makes me nervous for others. So just be safe. Just be safe. Welcome, 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 everyone.
Eyes on
It
the road.
is good deal. Good deal. So, welcome to Mindset Monday, where independent patient advocates like us come together to start the week with positivity and inspiration. My name is Nicole Broadhurst, and I'm here with my co host, Kayla Thompson Riviere. Today, we're focusing on authenticity and well being. And we have a great quote to kind of guide us through this new week of advocacy. Last week, we explored the power of boundaries and intentional rest with Audre Lorde's wisdom. The quote last week was caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. So we spent some time and reframed self care as a strategic, non negotiable part of running a sustainable practice and living a purpose driven life. So this week, we're kind of flipping things around and looking outward, not in service to others' expectations, but really towards our own fire. Because self care isn't just about restoration of ourselves, it's also about reconnection to what lights you up inside, which brings us to this week's quote by Howard Thurman. It is, don't ask yourself what the world needs, ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. What are your initial thoughts, Miss Kayla?
I love this so much. When I pulled up the spreadsheet on Friday to do, because I take the quote and I for Monday and I plug it into my like weekly to dos. So I pulled it up to get it all plugged in, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because this is, though I hadn't heard this quote before, the philosophy has been so integral to what I'm building with my business. And I'm suspicious that other people on here can identify with that as well.
Yes, 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 yes. But I too love it for this reason, Kayla, because I have also found it very integral in my business. Um, as well as the timing is always amazing to me. Last week, Wednesday, inside of the circle, we had a call that was all about specialty and niching. And this is exactly the same message that I shared last week around how to find your specialty and what to do and what to pay attention to. And it all came down to what makes you jump out of bed in the morning and you cannot wait to help your clients, like literally. Because it makes such a difference in the work that we do,
Yeah.
in the way that we show up, all of those integral pieces um, of authenticity, right? I mean, and let's face it, when it comes right down to it, the work that we do, not just the work that we do, but in addition to the work that we do, the way that we show up in our lives really is about serving those around us, either our clients, our family members, the people in our inner circle, everyone that we come into contact with. And the truth is that we really cannot serve effectively from an empty or inauthentic space, right? When we're trying to, or when we are operating from obligation instead of alignment, we really drain ourselves and lose our spark, which is what the world needs from us, right? Um,
Right. And
I,
that's, and that's why, I'm sure, part of the reason why so many of us left a job to come do what we're doing now. It's certain At least not initially. Oh, am I connected? I'm not
Right.
connected.
Right. No, you are connected. We can hear you. Oh, except now we can't. But anyway, so yes, I think you're right. And it is, it definitely was for me, right? My job, my job, my 9 to 5, certainly was not filling my soul. And I was looking for something that would. And I found it in independent or professional advocacy. So I think that that's really important that we remember we can't serve effectively when we're feeling like, and this makes me think of switching the verbiage around and really, how, oh, I have to, here's one for me today. I have to go get the oil changed in my car. And I need to reframe that to I get to go change the oil in my car
Right.
so that I continue to have reliable transportation. Like I have the opportunity to do that instead of feeling like I am acting out of obligation. I'm acting out of gratitude and service. And this quote really kind of makes me think about a lot of conversations that we've had. Um, so I think that's the one of the things. And then the other thing that I wanted to really kind of talk about in regards to this is how magnetic authenticity is. Like when we show up as unapologetically and authentically as ourselves, it totally attracts the right people into our life.
Right people.
Yes, the right clients, the right collaborators, the right opportunities, all of the right things, which, me, I just finished a book. It was called Be Ready When the Luck Happens. It's a memoir by Ina Garten. Really good.
Oh, okay.
Be ready when the luck happens. It really works right into this whole, when we show up and we will recognize and we will find the right people, places, things, opportunities. But that only happens when we show up as ourselves authentically, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and
Well,
understand what
when we
lights our
try,
fire.
humans don't fit in boxes without chopping parts off, right? So when we're trying to force ourselves into a box, I mean, or even just a set of expectations, really clear to everyone around us, even if they can't. Good morning. If they can't relate that that's what they're picking up, you can feel it energetically.
Oh, yes, you can. And we all know this is true because we do it ourselves, right? Like when we can meet somebody or connect with somebody and we feel like they're not quite authentic, it feels off. We're like, oh, I don't really know what it is, but I'm not really feeling the vibe there.
Yeah,
Right.
you're not like dying to hang out with them again.
Right. And so, and this is all okay stuff, right? I do want to put a disclaimer here that, we're not going to jive or vibe with every single person. However, our time here is just very limited. And so we want to like get to the people that are authentically our people as quickly as possible, right? So that we can enjoy the life and the relationships and the collaborations and the opportunities as much as possible. And we don't, yeah. So I don't want to spend too much time, trying to make myself fit into a box that I don't fit in, right?
Well, and like that's
That I
especially with us as advocates and like taking a step back from the mindfulness in general. Like we set out to be the answer in a problem of this like just regimented system of the healthcare system. And we can't do that to our highest capacity if we're not just leaning into who we are and leveraging that as the superpower and building our business and the way that we practice around that. This has become increasingly true for me recently. Can you guys all hear me okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I'm just on my phone. I couldn't get anything to connect. So, but for those who don't know, I, when I kind of came into the advocacy world and started my practice, I set it up the way that I saw other people doing it because I, didn't know what else to do. If you don't see any other options, you don't realize that they're there. And so what do most advocates do? Bill X number of dollars per hour for however many hours the client needs. You could go into, are we going to bill afterwards? Are we going to bill up front? Some people play with retainers, but regardless, the billing model is still time for money. Simple as that, but very confusing to the client because I don't know about you guys if you've set up this way, but I kept getting met with the same questions over and over. Like, okay, yeah, it's that many dollars per hour, but how much is it going to cost? And I'm like, I don't know. That could vary. How much time do you want? And I would lean into like, you're always in control of how your time is spent. You're never going to get a surprise bill. And, that was kind of helpful and got some nods, but it still didn't get away from that same underlying dollars per hours. And I really didn't like the dynamic. And I struggled for a while with what to do about this and how else I could create a sustainable, profitable clinical practice. And recently I have made a pivot that has just been catching, and it really feeds into my soul and meets the needs that I was recognizing. And I think it's only been about a month, so I don't have a lot of data to share, but I think I'm really onto something powerful. And I hope this can be helpful, that maybe I'm not the only person who feels this way. But not only did I not like the dollars per hour type of setup, I also didn't like the fact that it was almost as if, my clients couldn't interact with me without knowing that they're getting a bill. And it also left this confusion of is it worth picking up the phone? Is it not? And also, let me tell you about this piece about myself. I spent a decade in ER and ICU. Those are really high level, high stress places because I like that kind of stuff. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. I am here to get big things done, okay? That being said, I don't particularly get a lot of enjoyment or fulfillment out of attending routine doctor's appointments and all of the, that little bit of time that you're spending having the conversation with the doctor. Okay, that's good. But all the other stuff around that, I don't love it. So I also was trying to figure out a way to maybe back away from that and lean more into the stuff I'm really good at. So I came up with this process, and I call it a medical roadmap. But now anybody who wants to work with me, of course, there's a free call beforehand if people feel the need. But we start with what I call a medical roadmap session, and it's a 90-minute deep dive. We pick through their problems. I start connecting the dots, and then I actually give them a written plan of action that they have the option to either execute themselves or go on with a monthly flat fee that has kind of limited engagement. And then they have the option to flex up hours if they want to for more support. This solves a lot of problems. Number one, first and foremost, I'm gonna put myself first. It keeps me in my place of doing the high impact work for the majority of my client work, which I love. Number two, it takes an abstract advocacy service and puts it into a much easier to understand package. It's got a start point, an end point, a tangible deliverable, and a set price point. That's not crazy high because it's just a few hours of my time. And it gives them the ability to be able to budget for that ongoing support and know they have someone to pick up the phone, and it's not going to cost them every time they do. All of that to bring back to the quote today. I
want to stop for just a second, Kayla. I want to stop for just a second and just say how much I love this. I have been trying to help advocates start this exact thing for so many reasons for so long and met lots of pushback that it wouldn't work in the clinical space. So I am super excited to hear this. Cannot wait for another 60 or 90 days to get some real data and feedback from you on this. So
Yeah,
go
and I
ahead,
know we
back
had
to
talked about
mindset.
coming to the circle and bringing it there, and we absolutely like the Wednesday calls, and we absolutely can. I just felt like, to me, that's what the quote was talking about for me, is how I stepped into advocacy, seeing that the world needs this kind of service, but I also was able to recognize that the way I saw other people doing it just really wasn't, I mean, it's pretty dang close, don't get me wrong. I've been happy with what I've been doing, but it still wasn't all the way in line with how I wanted to show up, how I wanted to serve. I really focus, my big focus is on giving my clients, empowering them with the tools and resources so that they can manage more of the things on their own, as opposed to, sometimes I get more of a sense that advocacy is like, well, I'm going to be with you for every interaction. I am more of a teach a man to fish kind of person. And so all of the reasons before that the previous business model just didn't fully fit for me. And instead of continuing to, because believe me, I did at first try to convince myself that like, oh, well, we got to serve somebody, even if it's only the people who can't afford it, because also when you're doing dollars per hour, it's just a bit of a different price bracket than the way I have set up now. But I'm just so tickled that I didn't continue to try to push my limbs in that box that they clearly didn't fit in. And every time I finish one, and I launched it in March. I had 4 of these roadmap sessions in March, which I have not had a steady leads or clients or anything. So that's a huge win for me. And every time I get done with one of those, I am just like I literally get out of my chair and start dancing, even though I'm obviously, nobody comes to me without a problem. And those problems are serious and have their own weight and gravity. But the clarity and the hope and the empowerment I'm able to bring to these people in such a relatively short amount of time is just, it's the reason that I've sought out to do all this stuff.
Yes. This is all of the things, and this is all of the the proof that I'm trying to think about, like a different word for that, but the proof that this stuff really works. Like when we spend some time paying attention to who we are, what we need, what lights our fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kayla's describing exactly how I feel when we do these calls. Like, I love Mindset Monday. I love Wednesday connecting as a group in a community of professional advocates. I love, this is the stuff that lights my fire. And it is hard and it is gritty work to navigate the path to finding it, because it really requires a certain amount of trial and error. And that is very, very taxing.
Yeah.
It is very
That
taxing.
cannot be overstated.
Right. And so the outcome, when we get to that place where we're like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is where I belong. This is what I was designed to do. There is no, I don't know how to describe that other than what we're trying to describe here and now. But here's the message in all of that. The message is that this joy that this brings when we find this thing, your joy, my joy, our collective joy, is really the medicine that the world needs regarding patients and healthcare. And it's what people are waiting for. And
let's be clear, it doesn't stop at joy, because I fully have believed and subscribed to the concept that if you are truly in your life's work and your soul is resonating at its highest frequency, the money will come. Like currency,
financial currency is a byproduct of the good that we do in the world. And sometimes that path is not super direct or linear. And sometimes there's, you're planting seeds and you're watering them for a long time before the harvest is going to come up. But I will also share that March was the most profitable month I have ever had by selling something that was priced lower than my entry points before and doing something that I love doing even more than what I was doing before. And I think part of it is that this service is something I believe in to my core. I've seen the transformation, the impact that it has with ratio of the dollar amount and the time investment. It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I truly feel that way. And so when I talk about it, it comes through. So you can't stop this light from shining. And so that's so magnetic for people. And those are the very fluffy, intangible pieces that often we write off, but I really feel like that's the fundamentals of success.
It is. And it is why it is showing up here in Mindset Monday, because it really is the fundamental and it really is the foundation of believing, trusting the process. We talk about this a lot. Trust the process. Be consistent in how you show up, do all of these things. This is why, right? Because it is magnetic. It will bring the right people. And I do want to speak to one of the things that you said, Kayla. I think it's really important that because we're professional advocates and we're running practices and we do need to be profitable and sustainable, one of the things that we are seeing happen in the world today is what I have heard called a trust recession. Meaning that, people are having, we have some economy issues, we have some things that are happening, and the buyers, people who do need our services, actually are looking for opportunities to verify and validate their trust in us. And so when we create a lower price point that is less painful, it allows them the opportunity to engage with us and validate the trust with us, right? And it gives us the opportunity to over deliver, give them a magnificent experience and validate that they can continue to work with us. And it's a good investment for them. And so that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to this particular thing is I think that's another reason that you're seeing some additional success in that is because the price point is that comfortable.
And I offer a money back guarantee.
Perfect. So I love this. And it is magnetic and it will bring people to you and, all of these great things. And you're right. It's not just about joy. It is about creating profitability. And I too agree that when we show up in this realm with this vibrance and this, belief in what we're doing, it's catching, right?
Absolutely. And you have to think too, from the client perspective, go back to your own time when you've been on the patient end of the healthcare system, it tends to be a place that's rather cold, almost manufactured. You very much feel that you're like a box on an assembly line moving through.
Right.
And your providers, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes you get the good ones, like I was when I was at bedside, who truly care and are trying to make a difference and are just crushed under the system. But a lot of times you get providers that are burnt out from it all. And so you have a much less than pleasant experience. So when you as an advocate show up with this positivity and this radiance and this hope and empowerment, people they're craving that. They're craving that through their healthcare experience. So I think that sentiment is true across industries, but I think that it's even more true for us.
I do too. I agree. Absolutely agree. You know, there is a general sense of hopelessness, right?
Yeah.
That when we show up with some hope, it really does light some fires for not just ourselves, but for everyone around us and those that we serve. This is an amazing conversation. I love this. So what's your call to action? Like, what do we want to hear about? I personally would love to hear about what is lighting people's fire right now. You know, what's that spark that you bring? And again, remember, this is unique to each of us, right? You know, some people don't love spreadsheets the way that I do. You know, so it's okay, right? But that's like spreadsheets bring a spark of fire to my life. I love them. I love them when they have a good formula and you can, you know, think anyway. What's your thing? Like, what's your thing? Because I promise, you know, I love also to talk about a few years back. There was a conference in Chicago, and Emily Bernstein is who I'm talking about. So Emily, if you watch this, love you, miss you, need to catch up with you soon. Anyway, and she was getting started in her practice, and we and I actually came together over a charging cord. Anyway, it's a long story, but we ended up having a conversation, and she was talking to me about the advocacy work that she wanted to do. And she was really concerned because the thing that lit her fire, she didn't think she could make money doing it. All right. And we had this conversation, and I said to her, if that's what lights your fire, set onto the path to do it. You will find the money, you will find the reimbursement, you will find what needs to happen to make that happen for you. She is amazing. She was Advocate of the Year last year. She got a big award nationally. She's amazing. And I just think that it speaks volumes to find your fire and follow that, and it will all work out when you do the work. Right, when you do the work, because I don't want to underestimate that either, right?
That is the hard part.
Yes, because that is, and it's the part that makes you want to quit, and it's the
Guys,
part that
I
makes
stepped
you want to
into
stay in
this.
bed.
This happened just over 2 years of stepping into the advocacy space. Not all of that time was in it full time, full disclosure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started my advocacy journey in the beginning of February of 2023 and figured this out in March.
You know what, Kayla? I want to normalize that, because I've been around, like, I'm in my 6th year, right? And I just have to tell you, this is totally normal and common for advocacy practices to, like, do these, like, trial and error things, and somewhere in year 2 and 3 is when things start to, like, get some clarity around it. And so I want to normalize that. That's real. Like, that is real. You know, what we think we're going to do when we first start may or may not be where we end up when things click. In fact, I'm going to venture to say they probably won't be. I have been very surprised about where things have gone. So I love this.
Yeah. So my call to action this week is, you know, for anybody listening, I really challenge you to find some time on your calendar this week, or if you have to schedule it into next week, but really sit and think about the different aspects of your practice, and are they really reflective of your individual gifts and the way that you want to be showing up in exactly the work that you want to be doing? Or is it more kind of like what I was describing, where you saw what others were doing, and so, you know, you saw mom's clothes and now you're trying them on.
Right. I love that.
And that's okay. We have to start somewhere. But I challenge you to have that hard look and conversation with yourself, and then follow that up with, you know, maybe if there are some areas that it doesn't feel quite right, and this is that intuitive feel, lean into that and make a list of, like, the things that you love to do about this, the things that are your favorite, the cases that you've loved the most, and start to pull out those common themes and then figure out how you can model your business to just serve that. Because frankly, we all know at this point, this shit is hard. Starting and running your own business is freaking hard. I have a baby and that is still easier.
Right?
So it's gotta be worth it. And if you're not like fully making your soul sing, then it is not as worth it as it could be. Don't sell yourself short.
Yes, I love this. So people are starting to ask, and I just want to acknowledge this. People are starting to ask, how do we pull in clients to do what we're doing? And I put a link into it. All starts with your marketing action plan. And if you don't know how to do that, I just dropped a link into a recording inside the circle where we talk about how to create your marketing action plan, right? And what that looks like. So that is super helpful if you need to do that. You can also search hashtag marketing inside the circle to pull up hours worth of conversations on how to acquire clients. Great question, Sue. Thanks so much for that. All right. I think we are out of time today. This has been amazing. I think that this is a great conversation. It's timely, all of the good things. If you have questions, Kayla, I dropped your website into the chat as well. There were some questions around your product. So don't be surprised. People are probably going to be reaching out to you and asking more questions. All right, y'all. Have a great week. We will see you back here next Monday for some more positivity and inspiration. And have a great week. Bye, guys.